hear here right now is that design or can bring in a change in mindset and a behavioral shift. That's very important because it addresses the future need. And considering that today with the COVID, there is going to be a huge change in the mindset and also the behavior of the consumer. So while we have young people who are actually natives of technology, and our generation are probably the migrants in this technology space, I think they're much savvy in terms of understanding technology. I understand that when you're talking about a circular economy, you're talking about rethinking and remaking for infrastructures for 2040. Are these people, young people, need to think from that direction? We started talking about from the I, the we. So it's actually the ego to the eco, right? So I think these are a couple of things that are coming to me also, where I think the young people really need to reflect upon when they are taking up a career today. Understanding that degree is just not a degree. Degree is about life skills. A degree education that you're taking will give life skills to other. It will change the mindset. It will change the behavior of the consumer. So while we are looking at the creation of this new future, so if we say in just 3 pointers, if you want to say, what is the kind of preparedness industry would require, educators would require, and the youth would require? So 3 for each of them would be very interesting to hear from you.
Actually, you see that industry, I don't know, because industry will have to shift the gears. Now, many of these industry, they may have to diversify and make situation is that well-being of people and environment sustainability. What are the product? Small scale enterprises. There are 60 million small scale enterprises in this country. Many of them are supporting the large industry. Many of them are having their own products and all. I think somewhere this whole aspect of health and well-being and environment will come. Many of them may have to shift into some of the healthcare equipment, some of these the diseases which are coming up, preventive kind of things, and see that can we really develop this well-being, because the money which is going in the healthcare is enormous. And if we get into preventive measures, lots of money will be saved, which government is putting up, which can be used for well-being. And I think the well-being industry is going to be very, very strong in future. This is one aspect I am talking about. The other thing is the young people who are very techno savvy, they can go and set up enterprise anywhere in the world, I would say. But in India, say for example, Northeast. Now Northeast is difficult terrain. You cannot go and do manufacturing over there. But can our entrepreneur, the young people, can they have interaction design or some such kind of IT-based entrepreneurship where more information design, interaction design, or like what Infosys or what Wipro and other people who are setting up these offices in Bengaluru, why can't they set up in the Sikkim? You see that distribution is happening, and also young people are getting bigger opportunity to work in a very clean environment. So this is one point I would say, and try and see that what opportunity this country, geographical diversity which is there, the cultural diversity which is there, where the crux of this creativity you can bring in, have very, because there is no spoon feeding in design education, there is no textbook in design education, and there is no teaching in design education. It is learning from the field, learning by doing. That is what Eames told in NID. And I think somewhere we should always be seeing that, not copying. And the other statement which I want to make, that if you want to become global leader, you can become on your own strength and not on borrowed strength. The moment you will start continuously looking into that what Italy is doing in fashion and what France is doing in fashion, it is always, it's a second hand, and you will remain second hand. You see that foreigners are picking up your yoga and other thing and making brand. I think we need to identify and value our cultural heritage and dig in our cultural values and our heritage. I would say you will be global leader not only in India, but you will you'll make money like anything in today's time. Your voice, your voice, Archana.
Ma'am, your voice mute.
Ma'am, your voice.
ओके 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 सो मैं इसको थोड़ा सा हिंदी में थोड़ा सा इसका रूपांतरण करना चाहूंगी, ताकि क्योंकि हमने शायद काफी अंग्रेजी में बोला तो बड़ा मजा भी आया, लेकिन अभी थोड़ा सा अगर हिंदी में देखें तो आपका जो इंडस्ट्री के लिए ये कहना है, आप ये कहते हैं कि इन्वायरमेंट का ध्यान रखना है हमें, हमारे वातावरण का ध्यान रखते हुए और वेलनेस के ऊपर में ध्यान रखते हुए इंडस्ट्रीज को काम करने की जरूरत। वहीं आप कह रहे हैं यूथ नीड्स टू लुक एट मोर एंटरप्राइज डेवलपमेंट, उद्यमिता का रास्ता अपनाने की जरूरत है। और उद्यमिता अगर जैसे मुश्किल क्षेत्र है, जैसे कि आपने नॉर्थ ईस्ट की बात बताई, तो आपका ये कहना है कि क्या वहां पर अगर मैन्युफैक्चरिंग नहीं हो सकती तो हमको नए लेवल के इंटरवेंशन देखने चाहिए और नई तरह की संभावना वहां के लिए बन सकती है। तो यूथ को नए सिरे से सोचने की जरूरत है। दे नीड टू फाइंड देयर पर्पस। आई ऑलवेज से पीपल, यू नो, यू हैव टू फॉलो योर ड्रीम। अगर आप किसी की नकल करोगे तो आप जब लंबा नहीं चल पाओगे, बिकॉज रीइन्वेंट करने की पॉसिबिलिटी नहीं होती है आपके पास में ज्यादा। बट अगर आप अपने दिल को फॉलो करते हो और अपने जज्बे को फॉलो करते हो तो आई थिंक यू कैन ऑलवेज keep evolving and you can always be resilient. So I see one challenge right now, sir, with 20 young people who are at the age of 18. जब से शायद उन्होंने 10 साल के हुए होंगे तो शायद पढ़ाई स्कूल के अंदर में ये जाना है, ये कोचिंग में जाना, ये पढ़ो, करियर के लिए तैयारी करनी है, ये चल रहा था। तो ये फिक्स्ड पैटर्न बन गया हमारे यूथ का भी, पेरेंट्स का भी ये माइंडसेट बना हुआ है। अब इस माइंडसेट को, ये प्रक्रिया जो इसकी बदलने की है, क्या ये कोविड बदल पाएगा या क्या हम वापस के वापस वैसे ही बन जाएंगे? बड़े रेजिलिएंट होते हैं हम ह्यूमन बीइंग्स, कट करके we will bounce back to life, right? And bouncing back to life does not mean that it's not the good thing, but what it means is are we sensitive and to our environment or the true needs of what we need to now look at. So मैं वहां से सर, जैसे आपने बहुत अच्छे से ये कही कि ये सारी बातें, लेकिन क्या हमारी गवर्नमेंट पॉलिसीज, एजुकेटर्स, क्या इन सब चीजों को जो हम लोग इतने सालों तक उस ढर्रे में ऑलरेडी फिक्स हो गए हैं, हमारे लिए क्या ऐसा करना चाहिए कि हम इस माइंडसेट से बाहर निकल सकें, क्योंकि हम नहीं निकलना चाहते, दैट्स अ कंफर्ट जोन.
All right, I will have to speak in English because I see David and I don't want to make him uncomfortable talking in Hindi, because I think it's so nice of him to join this actually. So afterwards I will tell, because there are some foreign.
नहीं सर, आप बिल्कुल इंग्लिश में करिए, मैं थोड़ा हिंदी में इसलिए कर दूं because we've got 500 people today, yes. And these are, और फेसबुक पे बहुत सारे लोग देख रहे हैं, तो हमारी फ्लुएंसी को कई बार पकड़ ना पाए शब्दों को, तो मैं थोड़ा हिंदी में कर दूंगी, आप अंग्रेजी में कंटिन्यू रखें.
Unfortunately, this demand and supply, when there is a demand, there is a supply, and we get into this vicious circle in education also. The education is becoming a big business, and because we have a young population, 60% people in this country are less than 35 years of age, and everybody wants to have a better quality of life. And earlier that fate was that parents want them to become engineers, so everybody was becoming engineer, whether their passion and interest is there or not, become engineer because it gives you a good job. Then this fate came for the managers, that you get a better job and you become MBA, and people started getting into MBA. And in nook and corner, this all management institutions started coming in, and nook and corner in each city. When I was a student in my state, there were only 7 engineering colleges, and now Ahmedabad must be having 60 engineering colleges. When I was a student of design school, there were only 2 design schools, and there are 10 design schools in Ahmedabad today. So the thing is that when demand and supply, which is becoming, then this whole thing of coaching also starts happening. And honestly, I must tell that coaching is damaging the quality of professional who are coming out of coaching, and I all the time talk about it. What happens in coaching is that there are patterns to crack the exam. So those patterns are taught to students, that these are the questions, the drawing will be there, some composition will be there, some color will be there, and they make them mug and do this skill, whether they have that what you call
Acumen for it.
acumen in there or not, but still they do and get admission into
Bye.
and this is one part of it, that the coaching they are getting into, getting admission into college, whether it is IIT or whether it is IIM or whether it is NID or other design schools and management schools too. Now here is interesting part is that we are not able to attract the raw talent, the talent which is sitting in some villages, the talents which is not knowing English very good, and are not able to, because our system is not allowing them to get into this education program. If we would have taken, the English is also to be blamed because our medium of education is in English. So lots of creative people who are sitting, the children of crafts people, are not able to get admission in design schools because it is offered in English. Now what happens? Look at the situation. Can you please mute, because there is a lot of echo coming in.
Megha, you'll have to continuously do that, I think, because there are a lot of people here and somehow somebody manages to get in. Yeah.
So what I'm saying is that when you you crack the exam and you start showing your mediocrity in third year or second year or third year, because you have mugged it and got in, and you are coming out as a mediocre designer. So my urge with the young people, that if you have aptitude for this creative thing, because each child has an aptitude in some or the other. You could be very good in finances, not necessarily in design. You could be very good in engineering, not necessarily in design. Design is required as kind of some kind of skills, and if you have, I think then you start flourishing. And if third year you start showing your color because you don't have those aptitude, then you become a mediocre designer. Now our profession, which is creative profession, it is very cruel to mediocre people. And I want to make this point with the capital letters, that this profession is cruel to mediocre people, because in creative line, you have to be on the top. You have to be excellent continuously and look for excellence and look for the things which are there. So if you are a mediocre, then you will be used by people who are sitting there, and then it will be frustrating career life. So please identify there are you what aptitude you have, whether you are cut out for design education or not. Then when you're cut out, then you apply, but this don't run too much for this coaching thing, because the coaching will not let you become satisfied in your life in future, where you want really to offer your expertise, your learning in a very effective manner. This is what my take on coaching classes. But I think end of the day, you know, this competitive thing which is going on, which has to be looked into. But Archana, I would also like to tell, which you in some point you should ask me, that what faculty also we require for design education. It is not all the time students.
Yeah, I did say that, you know, what points would you suggest for the industry, for the learner and for the educators, you know? So I definitely.
Industry, I would say industry is going.
Industry, you've covered industry and young people. Design educators and educators was something that you can touch base.
Educators is again, when you see the demand and supply, I don't want to use teaching word, because in design there is no teaching, it is a learning platform.
Correct.
And our school education is it damages actually the person's creative ability, that the person, you know, out of the box thinking, which happens in the age of 5, that you start exploring things. What happens is that in school education, now some places they started opening it up, exploring things, but there is too much do and don'ts. You can do this, you cannot do this. And then teacher is telling this is the way you should do, and not allowing you to explore in unknown areas. And design thinking requires to explore unknown area and ambiguity. And this actually, to deal with ambiguity is not easy for many of the people, because they want to get into straight line. They want tablet. You go to industry and they say, please design me this and I want this. They will not let you explore the things which they want to do that. And design education is basically allow you to deal with ambiguity. And engineering education does not really in this country allow to get into too much of ambiguity, because 2 plus 2 is 4 and you have to get into it, and you cannot ask 2 plus 2 could be 8 or some such kind of thing. So asking question challenging. So see, the aspect comes is the future can be built when you challenge it. And the challenging aspect comes to challenge the technology and you get in. Another aspect which is happening is that we are following the technology. And if technological development happens, we start looking into a product based on that technology. And then we are totally getting into the engineers develop some technology, or electronic engineer develop some technology, and they are asking people to just create the application around the technology. I think also in education, it should be other way around, that you create a concept and then you see what is the appropriate technology. So technology should follow design, that not design should follow technology. And the entire industry segment, it is that the design is following the technology, but the technology is not following the design. And this major shift has to happen, that I am designing this product. Now you tell me what technology I can use in this, because technology is enabler and technology can give any damn solution which you want, but find out what are the solutions which require for the sustainable development, what are the solutions which require for clean water, clean food and everything. So I think somewhere this shift of following technology or followed by technology also has to come into our education system. And engineering or the school education, which is very much into the boundaries, and when you come into the design schools where no boundaries are there, the students are uncomfortable. They are all the time asking for confirmation from teacher, sir, this is right or wrong. Now this becomes a very critical thing, that who is this teacher to say it is right or wrong, because we are exploring. So the teacher becomes a facilitator. And this is the message that the faculty member, I would not say teacher, the faculty member should never spoon feed students, and faculty member should never feel gratified that I have asked the question and the student is not able to give answer, meaning I know more than student. Many times faculty compete with their student. Let them explore the ideas, let them free floating has only more experience than a student. A student could be more creative. Allow and facilitate the student to fly into the imaginative world and create some product, service and system. I think that is the role of faculty, and faculty should not impose their ideas on student. This is the biggest mistake we do, and student all the time looking for confirmation that they are stuck, they are not able to do, and faculty will say that, okay, you make this and go ahead. I think that culture has to change.
So what I understand, sir, is that you're talking about divergent learning, and you're talking about divergent and convergent thinking, which is again a part of the design thinking process. So while young people in our school system, we've not been taught to think like this. So design education, one thing is that it allows people to think in this manner, which allows them to be creative. I have gotten a couple of these remarks where, yes, educators are endorsing to what you're saying, but there's another aspect that I see where young people, when you look at the construction part of it, the production part of it, so to understand, to break a rule, you need to know a certain rule. So where would you like to say on this? Because I've seen a lot of young people become rebels much earlier, saying that I don't want to do this, I don't want to do this, I don't want to learn this, I don't want to be told like this. So how does one, then a teacher, go by a particular, the pedagogy, the curriculum, the syllabus, where you have, right, okay, if you got to learn pattern making, you need to understand the basic bodice block, or if you understand weaving, you're a textile student, you need to know the different kind of weaves. He said, nahi, main to nahi karunga, because I heard from Professor Vyas, he said, ki teacher jo bol rahi hai wo nahi. So why I'm asking this question is, yeah, what is,
let me tell, because it's not that everything is such a open-ended kind of thing. you see the design pedagogy you look into. I'm not coming at the moment the university structure because that is another disaster, you know. So, so the thing is that our pedagogy which is there, and when we are talking about the design pedagogy, there are some courses are skill courses. Some courses are basic design courses. Now, basic design or element design courses are the vocabulary of design which we are developing. And when you talk about skills, the skills that sewing machine has a particular technique the technique which you have to learn. So that comes under skill. Now, skill is there which you can teach. That if they want to explore it afterwards, they can explore it. But the skill is there, like the material. You have to teach them how to work on the lathe, how to work on computer. So these are the tools. Now, the machines and computers and all the tools which will allow them to fly their imagination. So this skills have to be given. If pattern making is required, you have to give pattern making. If material exploration is required, you have to give that thing. So somewhere it is the fixed science and technology. You have to give them science and technology also. What all is happening. Social sciences also. You have to give these kind of theory courses. So there is a theory, there is a skill, there is the science and technology. Then there are the basic design where the color, form, geometry, all these things which you are learning. And then there are design project where all of these knowledge which you have gathered in different courses, you have to put together in that. And this putting together, I think there your creative thinking is required to go forward.
Perfect, sir. So you said that design is art, commerce, and science, because if it doesn't reach to the marketplace and there are no consumers for it, so the commerce aspect is then not well understood. So while one is looking at the art, the science, and the commerce, they all have to, and that's where it makes a good design,
see, right? The thing is that it's a holistic approach. Design is not in isolation, and our industry, you know, they are continuously getting into this key. I have developed, my R&D people are telling, I have developed it. Now you designer make a beautification of this. Half of the engineers think that the design is only a fashion design and textile design. They don't know what design is all about. When we are talking about design, it is nothing but the holistic thinking. Now, in this holistic thinking which we talk about, we talk each and every stakeholder's thing. Then anything which you design, if suppose, just to give you an example, that if we are designing ATM machine, now we all are drawing money from ATM machine, you can say, okay, electronic engineer is there, mechanical engineer is there, and a manufacturing engineer is there, and they will create the product, and that's no, because all are stakeholders of ATM machine. ATM machine, that the different kind of users are there. The aging population is there. The person on the wheelchair is there. The person who is visually impaired is there. How are you going to design a ATM machine which is good for age population, who is good for the people who are visually impaired, a good person on the wheelchair? All these are the stakeholders which you have to took it. That is one part. Another part is that if you are designing it, then the town planner, if you put it in a road, what kind of looks it is going to give to this planning of this street. Then third person will come is the traffic police, saying you are putting an ATM machine here is going to create a traffic congestion, and that will risk the people if they are crossing the road. So the traffic police is also a stakeholder which you have to consider in that. The social scientist is that the different kind of people who are coming into it, that when they are there inside, whether they feel comfortable or not. The child is coming at the tall person, so how the keyboard will be there, how assurance is there that you are going to get the money, and the police is there, that if you safety factor that there could be, so police also becomes the one of the stakeholder. If you put it in isolation, there's a danger of life is there, the security aspect comes in. And you know, there is another stakeholder who is a thief, who wants to break the machine and takes out. So you have to sit on the drawing board, take each one's perspective. This I am talking about ATM machine, but any design, you have to consider each and everybody's viewpoint on the drawing board and take it forward. This is called system thinking. This is called design, or whatever you can say. Economics will also come in, and so economic also become a very important aspect. So you have to get into all that person, and marketing people also become. So everybody of you at the drawing board in the beginning is required, rather than getting into that mechanical engineer, electrical engineer is work. Now let it to go to the marketing person, and let it go to the installation person, and let it go to, no, it does not work in a linear way. It becomes together. And this example I am giving because but it works in all the places wherever you are designing something, and take hold of each and every stakeholders into the drawing board.
So, sir, you beautifully said that it's all about moving to the V. So, while designers had worked on the I kind of thing and made it very exclusive, you're talking about making inclusive and going by the V way, and we co-creating it together. So, sir, we'd like to take a couple of questions, though we did want to talk about the SDGs and the policy, but I think people are impatient and they want to get them to be, you answering their questions as well. So, Megha, can we take a couple of these questions? People are asking, sir, when should be ready for an internship? And what skills should a design career, actually, what kind of skills young people need to have to get into a design career?
I think multitasking is very important. A skill is there for the designers that who can do different things, not just one. Because many times you are just making rendering and creating something. Those were the days when people had survived. But now you need to have skills which basically can connect different point of view and take it forward. Now, industrial training, I think it should be from the beginning. And I would like to share with you the NID model, which is very good. And learning by doing and learning from the field was very strong. So what happens is that when you come and join, the first one is environmental exposure. You go to rural India and try and understand how the ecosystem is operating, because majority of students in design education coming from urban areas, majority I am saying, there is not that they are not coming from rural areas. Urban areas, they have a different kind of point of view that how rural and the agrarian society work. So I think they may have a point of view through book, television and other things. They need to live with them and understand them. And then it's an empathy when trying to understand, because see, the aspect is that you are going and solving their problem is a very way of doing that. Because who are you to solve somebody's problem? I think you have been taught some skills and some way of handling the challenges. I think it is better that go there, try and understand what they are doing, what are their values aspects are there, how the society is working, and work with them and try and find out solutions. So this is the first part, that go to some rural sector, agrarian society, how it is working, and then spend some time with them. That is one part I feel very importantly in India, the student need to go.
The student is keen on knowing that how to assess that one is ready for a design career or one has an aptitude for it.
I'm saying ready, and as I'm saying, I'm moving slowly to the second part is that industrial training, where they are again learning from the field that what are the limitations and what are the challenges in happening. And the final project, you take it either with NGO, with industry or something. Most of the design schools are doing, where they are trying to tackle. You see that you cannot say, as when you get a degree, you are ready. That is what we want to say, that you are ready once you get the degree. But the readiness, it worth to really take the challenge or not, that is the question. And I think there, I would say that the moment you start empathizing and trying to understand the whole ecosystem, I would say you're ready, because the basic understanding has been given to you in the institute. If institute is really putting best effort to nurture your design thinking in a positive way, I think you are ready after 4 years. I would not say that you leave after second year and somebody is asking you to do some job and they say, okay, forget about education, come. No, I think finish the full education, you are ready. If the degrees come, you are ready. But the readiness is that done is right. That is a questionable thing. I think there are parameters in design process where you have to go back, get feedback, and that is the way you evaluate whether your solution are worthy of solving some problem or creating new opportunity or not. It will come like that. So once you're out, you're ready.
Will the COVID-19 after this, would it be a boost for countries like India in terms of the economy and the reshaping of infrastructures?
I would say yes. I'm very optimistic, and I would say that there are lots of advantage I see post COVID. One is that the total small and medium enterprises and cottage industry. There's a likelihood that the emphasis is going to go into decentralization and creating opportunity into the rural sector, and where the small is there, and there is a and the craft industries there. And since we are into fourth industrial revolution, the technology empowers us that we can do business with them wherever you are sitting. And there is a likelihood that there is a shift of manufacturing activities from China to India, because we have a huge labor force, we have a huge technical engineers and other people. So there is a likelihood that a lot of these things where we were importing, there will be focus on that, no, produce made in India, make it, and that will give opportunity to a lot of small players, because they were killed by the competition which was posed by the Chinese products. And it is the favorable condition is more with India in such situation. So likelihood that a lot of manufacturing is going to shift from there to India, and creative culture industry, which is more crafts and handloom, which minimize the pollution, which is very minimum pollution, there's hardly any pollution. I think that will also be given emphasis. And also I want to make one point actually for the future. You see, earlier in fashion, designers used to make fur coats. The fur coat was a big style, and then the society has rejected it afterwards. It was rejected because you are killing the animal and using the skin for the fashion. I think somewhere very loud design may be rejected by the society in future, and it will go on to the basics, and it will go on to more environment friendly, and it will go on to more. So these are the value which are going to shift post COVID. So we have to all the time look into what are these areas where which is for masses and which is not for, as you said, ego to eco. I learned this term today, ego to eco. So I think somewhere I think these are the aspect. And United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. There are lots of things which will give opportunity for young designers to really get into and work with the policymaker, work with the government agencies, work with government has enormous funds actually for developmental activities. And somewhere this is our responsibility to really see that all departments should have design activity centers with them, so they can see that the social development, how design can help them in design through design thinking.
Beautifully you've put. I think a lot of the question has been very beautifully answered here. And but there's one thing, that because you started with the India Design Policy, that council that you initiated in the year 2009, and having understood that you've been a part of the policy making with the Ministry of and the Government of India, where do you see them now reshaping their policy? Because you've worked very closely with the political will of the nation. Where do you see a shift where design would be given, the kind of weightage which is required? I know only NIT gets that kind of weightage, which probably being from the ministry itself. But overall, there has to be a policy in terms of looking at the benchmarking for design education, for looking at certain level of standards that would be required, because we are all in this new world which will require a whole new set of policies, both at the level of the industry, the education, so that everybody could take it up as an ownership. Like if you look at the United Nations goal, it is something that the institutions across the globe, design schools actually follow it, right? In terms of adopting it inside their culture, in terms of understanding that this is how we can really support the larger initiatives. So where do you see our Indian government really taking forth a step?
Let me tell that this design policy was announced in 2007, and pursuance of design policy, the India Design Council, which was set up in 2009 to implement that. Now 2007 meaning 13 years actually, and that was a good beginning, that at least some policy framework is there in India of design. which is dealing with design promotion, design for small scale industry, design education. All these things were there. Now there is a dire need to revisit the design policy because it is almost 13 years, and we have I had initiated that we have learned something, and we have also looked into this policy's limitations, and now scenario is changed and we have to revisit this, and we are still trying through CII to see that if suppose we revisit the design policy. Now, revisiting design policy, what are the challenges which have come after United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, which were always there, the COVID and similar things which are coming in future. How are we going to really train our people? What is the quality assurance? Because this is also education. Quality assurance is very, very important aspect. Whether is there any benchmark or ranking or something of these institutions which will guide people? And then also how to make design education free from the UGC kind of framework or AICT kind of framework, which is more on engineering education. How will you retain the flexibility in the curriculum where a craftsman can teach, and where not necessarily only PhD people are entitled for the professorship and all? Because in creativity, you have to have various kind of things. You have to have a design research, design applied research, then you can have practice-based professors, and all these possibilities in design within design education is also there. Few institutions can just focus on the future trend and future technology and social science and design and all. Few people can look into industry and environment and government kind of things. So those education, few people can look into the handicrafts and like Indian Institute of Craft and Design type of thing, how it is coming up and doing that. Not necessarily all design education should be followed in one cutout, but it can be a different cutout. Those are the policy I think we need to really make and see that how thinking can be possible in explorative system.
Okay. So I understand that we've covered a wide range of things, and I've been so kind that you've been really really passionate about it, and it's been 2 hours, and you've been ongoing, and it must have really taken a lot of energy of yours, but there are a lot of people who are not able to stay on, and they want to know now, the young people who are looking at taking admissions now, they are wanting to know that what are the qualities that they need to have, what is the kind of quality an institution needs to have where they would be opting for a career, and that's it. So that would be the final word for them, because they are the youth. That's the youth that is going to shape up the future. So I think the last word is for them, definitely.
I think last
and
word
for the educators, there's one. वो ये कह रहे हैं कि educators जो अभी online पढ़ा रहे हैं, उनको what do they need to do really, because online is quite taxing, and staying in front of the screen is another level of wellness issues that are raising up now. Migraine ho raha hai, people are with eyes fatigue, and these kind of issues are coming up. So where do you see the whole blended learning model shaping up, and the online kind of pedagogy thing that will take on?
I think let me, because I will try and tell something, but let me first come to 3 aspects which are very important to be a successful designer. And unfortunately, our media, which is television and newspaper and all, there is a bombardment of negativity in our information pouring which is happening every day. Not post-COVID I am talking about, because at the moment the media is totally focused on COVID. But before that, continuously there is a criticism, there is a leg pulling, there is a one-upmanship, and everybody is just talking, becoming more judgmental and giving their point of view. That is the way that they're sitting on armchair and making judgment for the how world should work. So this starts with this the media. Then it comes to parents. The parents also start talking. Nothing is happening in this. Everybody is corrupt. Everything is going down to drain, and the child is listening to parents, and child is listening to what parents are talking. They're unconsciously, continuously criticizing the thing. Then you go to school and college. The teacher is also talking like that. What the hell is going on? This is going doomsday. Things are going down. So this young mind is only capturing negativity into the whole thing. The
Very
person whom you want really to solve the future problem, you have already made that person very negative. And especially this message is for teachers and parents, I would like to say. So the first aspect is that I think somewhere optimism is very important.
super. I think that's the most beautiful part that you said. Yeah, that's really important for this.
Optimism is because as a teacher, if you don't give, as a faculty, if you don't give hope to the young generation, how are they going to really deal with the future? As a parent, if you don't give really hope that you can do it, it is possible, we can change it, really be ready to that. Because by the time they are coming out from the school, they are already negative totally. Teacher is also talking about negativity. So first thing is optimism, which starts, media we cannot control, parents, yes. And I think faculty, as a all leader, we should tell them that don't talk negative talk too much because it affects on the young mind. So this is one thing. Second point I want to say that there is no shortcut in life. You have to put sincere effort. If you really want to get into the design education through the coaching classes, it is a shortcut. You have to prepare, the aptitude has to be there, where you prepare your thinking in such a way whether you are cut out for design education or not. The second aspect comes is a sincere effort. Without sincere effort, you cannot really achieve success. And third thing and most important thing is integrity. Integrity again is a very important aspect of it, because we look around over the world and everybody is trying to get into corrupt practices, but it is not long lasting. If these three things you have a value system in you, you are going to be a great, the successful entrepreneur or successful professional in future. I think these 3 points certainly I would like to emphasize. Take this note in mind that I have to be optimistic. If I will not do, who will do it? I have to really get into the future indoor for solving the issues and solving the problem of society, because as a designer, you are responsible for that kind of thing. And I think these 3 points certainly I would like to say that people should imbibe in their when they are growing up.
Thank you, Professor Vyas. I think you've really touched everybody's hearts, and you've got all these messages coming in. Thank you, sir. That was awesome. Wow. I think the final word, because I think your conversations are coming from a lot of experience and very for young people to even relate with it. It's quite a, कि sir agrarian culture की बात कर रहे हैं, हमें तो fashion करना है. Sir बोलते हैं खेती कर लो. Sir बोलते हैं crafts की बात कर रहे हैं, हम industry की बात कर रहे हैं. So, there's a whole lot of conflict that young people are really, getting into. There's a lot of ambiguity that you've created in their heads today because they've not heard these kind of conversations in their family. उनकी फैमिली में ये भैया डिजाइन है, अच्छा करियर है, अच्छा बेटे तुमको पसंद है, अच्छा you want to cut and sew, बनाओ, and you become a big fashion designer, you become a big jewelry designer. So I think you completely, demystified their whole understanding about design, which I think is very interesting. So there's an opportunity for us to completely look at things in a very fresh perspective. I am really happy because all past patterns are breaking. And it's very important to break the patterns because they don't allow you to be creative. They don't give you the freedom to explore. So I think the young people today have a great opportunity because they are the creators of the new. So excited. I wish I was in this age, yeah. And I would have been able to be so resilient. And whether I like it or not, I will not ever be the resilient the way these young people are. So I think...
Just last word before you just conclude it, since you made it, that these guys are really lucky to be born. Actually, if you see, to become designer in India, because first of all, such a diverse culture is there. Socio-economic, geographical, all these variations are there. There is so much of creative spark in each and everything, each culture, the type of food, the type of variations in these cultural variations which are there. And India is probably the only country where the Stone Age and Space Age coexist even today. People are using bow and arrow, and people are also launching rocket to moon. So this kind of variation you will not find in any country in the world. Which country will have such kind of diversity within 500 kilometers, where the bow and arrows are being used still to kill the birds to feed themselves, and they're launching rocket. I think they are lucky to be born in this time where so much understanding from nature they can draw to solve lots of planets issue which are coming up. And that is what my last word actually from my side. Then you can take it. Sorry.
So I'm going to just leave it here because it's so beautifully said, and I think everybody's enjoyed the conversation. So thank you so much, sir, for being with us. You've always been a great well-wisher of arts, you know, having supported young people like me who really, you know, wanted to create some value for young people, right? Because I remember when I started with 2 Rooms, not many people believed that, you know, I could also do something. But now in this journey of 20 years where arts has already created so many young people, because we were so flexible in our whole approach. So I think it's very important that adaptive, we are resilient, we are hopeful, we are looking forward to, and I'm looking for a new arch and the creation of a new arch. You know, so thank you so much for being here with us and all your experience that you've shared with us. I think this is truly a moment for these young people who have gotten an opportunity to hear you for 2 hours. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Archana. It's really a pleasure. And thank you all the participants. And David, thank you. I'm really touched that you spent all the time. Thank you so much. We'll talk after.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you
so
to
much,
all
sir.
the participants.
It was awesome.
Thank you so much for being here with us all this while. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone who's organized this and then participated.
Thank you so much, sir.
Really enjoyed it.
Thank you so much, sir.